A tech founder in San Francisco sells their company for $20 million and hands nearly $5 million straight to the IRS. Meanwhile, Steve Ballmer buys a $2 billion sports team and legally wipes out up to $50 million of his personal tax bill every single year. Most of what we are taught about building wealth is a distraction. Stocks, 401ks, and index funds make up a retail market designed for the middle class. You park your money in an account, wait decades, and hope the chart points up. The global elite do not leave their capital exposed to hope or economic gravity. They buy access to unlisted structures, legal loopholes, and specific asset classes designed to do things regular investment vehicles simply cannot. To achieve complete financial immunity, they rely on a very specific playbook. It comes down to erasing their tax liability entirely, mathematically cloning their money into infinite loops, and buying the literal flow of capital itself. The country printed on a passport is highly negotiable. Wealthy investors treat citizenship as an asset class. By moving to Puerto Rico and spending 183 days a year there under Act 60, their federal capital gains tax on new investments drops from nearly 24% down to zero. But the most effective tax mechanism in modern finance doesn't even require moving. It was pioneered in the 1970s by a baseball owner named Bill Veeck, and it is called the Roster Depreciation Allowance. Under U.S. tax law, when someone buys a professional sports franchise, they are allowed to claim the human players on that team as depreciating assets. The players are legally treated exactly like factory machinery or delivery trucks that wear out over time. This diagram illustrates exactly how the math works for an owner like Steve Ballmer. He pays $2 billion for the Los Angeles Clippers. Over the next 15 years, he deducts that entire purchase price against his personal income. That creates roughly $130 million in paper losses every year, completely erasing his tax liability on the dividends and capital gains he makes for Microsoft. The team generates real revenue from tickets and broadcast deals, and its market value triples over a decade. But the sports franchise exists primarily as a tax shelter to wipe out the federal tax liability on hundreds of millions of dollars of completely unrelated income. When the middle class needs capital, they go to a bank and ask for a loan. The ultra-wealthy build their own private banking systems. They start or buy insurance companies, which allows them to collect premiums and hold on to massive cash reserves called float. Warren Buffett built Berkshire Hathaway using this exact structure. He didn't get rich just by picking winning stocks. He bought insurance companies that generated billions of dollars in float, money that sat there, tax-deferred, entirely available for him to invest before any claims had to be paid out. This animation shows the personal equivalent of that strategy, the overfunded whole life insurance policy. By structuring a policy with a minimum death benefit and maximum cash value, the money inside acts as a private vault. It grows at a guaranteed rate, plus dividends, entirely tax-deferred. By keeping the cash in place, you use the policy's value as collateral to take out a low-interest loan from the insurance company. Because borrowed money is not classified as income, the IRS cannot tax it. You get the cash to invest elsewhere, while the original money stays inside the policy, continuing to compound. When traditional banks refused to finance the original Disneyland in the 1950s, Walt Disney tapped into his own private financial system. He borrowed against the cash value of his life insurance policies to fund the park's construction. Your money works in two places at the exact same time. It provides liquidity on demand to fund businesses or buy real estate, completely bypassing credit checks and entirely avoiding taxable events. There is a level of wealth that stops taking risks on the price of commodities and simply owns the infrastructure they travel through. The world's largest private energy investors don't drill for oil or run gas stations. They own the pipelines. It doesn't matter if oil drops to $40 a barrel. They collect a fixed toll on every drop of volume that flows from point A to point B. That same toll road mechanism has been quietly applied to the justice system. When billionaire Peter Thiel secretly funded wrestler Hulk Hogan's lawsuit against the website Gawker, he helped pioneer an entire asset class known as litigation finance. A specialized fund reviews a strong legal case and writes a check to cover the plaintiff's legal fees. If they win, the fund takes up to 50% of the settlement. The payout relies entirely on legal merits, creating a high-yield return that is completely uncorrelated to interest rates or the stock market. The ultimate version of owning the infrastructure exists within private equity. Typically, wealthy investors act as limited partners. They write big checks and lock their capital up for 10 years. But the people making the safest, most consistent returns are the general partners, the firms actually managing the money. This flowchart shows how sovereign wealth funds bypass the waiting period by buying a GP stake, a percentage of the management firm itself. Before any capital is deployed into investments, the general partner siphons off a guaranteed 2% management fee. The GP stake owner gets a direct cut of that top-line revenue every single year, regardless of whether the underlying investments succeed or fail. They collect a toll on every dollar in the system. They aren't sitting at the blackjack table hoping to win a hand. They are buying a percentage of the casino. The public approaches capital looking for a small percentage yield. The elite approach capital looking for complete structural advantage. They optimize for the erasure of taxes, the control of cash flow, and asymmetrical leverage. To protect and scale your own capital, you have to look past the superficial asset. The stock, the house, or the sports team are merely delivery vehicles. The real power resides in the underlying legal and financial architecture. The greatest trick the ultra-wealthy pulled was convincing everyone else that they were playing the exact same game. They aren't. They stopped being the players a long time ago. Now they are the house.